I will say this as well. So the situation with our brother. Let's play a little bit of clip and I'll talk.
It's like you guys need your brothers, and that's why this conversation was so real. Because I hope and I pray that this conversation can open up different conversations in our culture about being there for each other and not being at odds with each other, no matter what we.
So of course, with Jeezy, I do understand one aspect of it. Like when he's talking about us supporting each other, I definitely get that part of the conversation. I think the only part that I have an issue is, like I said again, comes back to romantic when we're talking about supporting one another, and then we don't choose our brothers and sisters for relationship. We choose people outside of the community. So we are good enough to be friends, but not necessarily good enough to be a relationship partner. That's how it may seem like, right? And then obviously, then to say, being there for one another in terms of relationship when you are at your lowest, it just seems like you're saying that the women should be there for you when you're broke and when you're broke, finished, and you've exhausted all your options with the other races. Then come back to the black woman because she's so loyal and she's so ready to take you on board. And I think in reality, I gotta be real. That kind of thinking for me is detrimental and it is suspect because I think for me personally, this leads into how as a race, as a community, that we don't respect our women in this case. If that's the thinking we're gonna have, if we're um you know if we're gonna um say choose each other at the lowest, we should that what that says is that the people for you are only there, they're only meant to be good enough for you when you need help, not when you're on a particular level. And if somebody is always there for you when you need help, then they are the help. They're nothing more than just the help. And that is really saying that they're not your level. Okay. Um, and I'm not saying that Jeezy. I've never seen Jeezy disrespect any black woman. So I want to make very clear. I want to make that clear distinction right away. I've never heard, seen him disrespect any black woman. So I'm not advocating for that at all. What I'm saying is, though, I think there is a case to be told because I understand, from obviously when we look at his background and we see how his mother treated him, I could see how that could make you feel some type of way about dating black women. Because if we haven't realized the pain that we're suffering from our parents, we end up sometimes, not sometimes, we can be doomed to repeat it again. And also the pain that we face from rejection, the pain we feel from rejection, the pain that we feel from, um, you know, uh, our bad experiences, they can bleed into our adult life and what we've experienced in relationships. So that's why I was just like a little bit like, I wonder if that's bled into how he sees relationships with black women, and that they are there for their help because in reality they've actually injured him from young, as well. So that's the case. Didn't his father abandon him? But that's not how it works, unfortunately. You know what I mean? That's not how it works. Even though his father abandoned him, that's not how it works when it comes to, when it comes to dating and how we see and how we interact with one another. Because what happens when a father isn't present, a man looks for another family to be holding to, right? So when a father isn't there, a man looks for a family to be a part of, right? He seeks for protection and coverage elsewhere from another strong entity, which is usually some form of male preference or male presence in some sense. Um, you know, um, yeah. Tia said, "Stop it. His experience with his mother didn't keep him from laying with black women and creating single black mothers." Well, that's if you really take your time and really deep it, instead of just saying stop it. Maybe if you had a bit of time to just kind of understand it a little bit, you might actually get some understanding here. What I was actually saying was he can lay with someone and have a children with them because actually it's a form of hate. It's actually a form of dislike. So I can sleep with you because that's all I consider you to be, a concubine. I don't consider you to be the top prize of being a wife. And that can come from when we have pain and wounds towards opposite sex, which can begin when you have issues with your mother. So if you have issues with your mother, you can then get to a place where how you consider other black women, they then become a source of pain for you, because every time you see them, you see the mother. It's a bit like when we see things with mothers and sons, where the mother might mistreat the son because the son looks at the dad, and the mother hates the dad, so she mistreats the son. It happens. People get triggered by these kind of things. You know what I mean? So I'm not saying that's necessarily 100% it. What I'm saying is it could have contributed towards that, because now he can see the black woman. Yes, he can appreciate Nia Long because he's not dating her. He can appreciate black women because he's not necessarily dating them, but he might not date them in the way that he should with intentionality to marry them, because in his head, how he sees them is, I only see you really as a concubine. I don't see you as a wife. Now, I'm not saying that's 100% that's what it is. I'm just saying maybe potentially it is. And that's how other races then get elevated in the conversation, because they didn't hurt him the same way that his mother did. So, you know what I mean? That's why I called it out when I said, why did he call what his, he even said it about his mum, that she's spicy with her mouth. And I was like, nah, she's not spicy.